Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 20s Unlock. This is Ben, your boy, the host of this podcast. And before we get into it, I just want to take the time to wish you all a happy New Year 2026. Man, I can't believe it. We're in 2026. It's actually been 2 years since I started this platform, 20s Unlocked. I mean, the podcast has been around for almost 2 years as well, maybe like a year and a half. The idea of 20s Unlocked it's been 2 years. Yeah, I just wish you guys a happy new year, all the great things. Wishing you all a healthy, successful, blessed, abundant in every sense of the word. May you guys receive what you didn't receive in 2025 and more. May you all be prosper in all you do, and really may 2026 be really a year of innovation. So, happy New Year! I'm excited about this new year. I personally have a lot going on this year. I'm getting married this year. Crazy, crazy, crazy. A lot of things happening, and I'm super excited. And super excited also to record this first episode of the year. And, what better to start with a topic that's kind of been on my mind in and off lately, and I thought it would be a good idea to kind of talk about it and just you know say some things about it to continue to help each other grow in 2026. So, like I said, I've been thinking about this topic a lot recently. It's about self-respect. Self-respect. When we think about self-respect, we think that it's loud, but this kind of self-respect is not loud. It's not ego. It's not confidence about what you post online, but it's really the kind of self-respect. It's really the kind that you feel when no one is watching. It's when, we're really good at respect. It's like we're really good at respecting other people. We show up on time for other people, right? And we keep our word to them, and we don't want to let people down. That's because we respect people. But when it comes to ourselves, most of the time we make excuses. We make, there's delay, break promises to the promise we make to ourselves. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm someone who I hate breaking promises when I make it to other people, and that's because of I respect, just the respect that I have for them, the respect that I have on my word toward them. But sometimes we are a little bit leaning to us, and we'll get into that later. But we make promise to ourselves, and we break those promises. So today I want to talk about what it really means to become someone you can respect, and how self-respect built is built by showing up for yourself and living with higher standard. So let's get into it. Self-respect is not just something that you declare. You just wake up, say, hey, I'm gonna self-respect myself. It's something you earn, just like you earn someone's respect. You earn the right to respect yourself. And like I said, you don't just wake up one day confident. You build it. You build confidence by keeping your word, especially when it's inconvenient. And remember, going back to keeping words. We tend to keep word with others, but we tend to break promises with ourselves. Self respect is doing what you say you would do, even when you're tired, even when no one is clapping, even when it would be easier to quit. It's not about being perfect, but it's being consistent. I mean, again, you can call this being consistent, but I feel like it's not just about, it's not just us being consistent, but you know, it's bigger than that. It's like, why are you being consistent? There has to be a reason behind that, and I think that's where the self respect is. Like, if I want to, like, again, like, for example, like, we take a shower because you respect yourself enough to want to stay clean. You brush your teeth because you respect yourself, because you don't want your mouth to smell. And the same thing with our life and our well-being. You put boundaries because you respect yourself enough that you want to that you want to keep your peace. You want to protect your mental health. You work out because you respect yourself enough, you respect your body, so you want to keep it healthy. You want to keep junk food away. So that's where it's not just about being consistent, but it's really about the reason behind you being consistent. The reason behind we want to be consistent is because we want to respect ourselves, right? And thinking about it this way, we go above and beyond not to disappoint others, right? But we're really quick to give ourselves grace that turns into excuse. How many times we say, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I'll do it tomorrow." Things like that. We cancel on ourselves. We let our standards slide. We tell ourselves, I'll start it tomorrow, or I'll do it later. But if it was someone else ask you to do something today, you will do it today. Like, it's just those things we gotta think about. And, like, over time, something really dangerous gonna happen. Like, we stop trusting ourselves. That lack of trust shows up as low confidence, hesitation, self doubt. And not because we're incapable, but because we taught ourselves that our word doesn't matter. It's just simple. It's like, someone won't trust you if you are always, going back to your word. It's the same thing with us. Um, I think the reason why we don't always keep our word to ourselves is because we don't respect ourselves. And over time, when we don't respect yourself, don't when you keep going back to your words to yourself, that's where the self-doubt begins to grow. That's where the low self-esteem, because if you're someone who hold yourself to a high standard and you respect yourself enough to hold up to your words. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I'm saying this, I'm not perfect. I still struggle with consistency every single day, every single week. It's a fight. But I you know there are days that you were better at it. There are days that you're not. I'm really, I'm doing I'm recording this podcast, talking to myself as well. So some days are better, some days are not. But I just wanted to encourage us and remind us as we step into 2026 that to not just have this new year, new version of me, but it's just like, if you want to go to the new year, I feel like our decision is to respect ourselves more this year. Just become someone that you respect. Not just Don't just respect others, but become someone that you respect yourself. Anyways, so what is self-respect? Well, self-respect is holding yourself to a standard, right? Not because someone expects it, but because you do. Your standard decides how you treat your time, how you treat your body, how you treat your work, how you allow others to treat you. And this is kind of cheesy, but I kind of wrote it down like this: is you don't rise to your goals, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standard. Someone might say you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems, but for this one, I think it just means like you might have big goals, you might have those big ambitions, but if you don't respect yourself to put in the work, you'll never get there. And whatever standard you repeatedly accept becomes your identity. Man, this part really, I really like it because, our standard kind of changes every day, just like your system, like in a book, uh, Atomic Habit, your habit is what you become. Same thing with, those habits are really your standard, like what you allow every day, what you allow to consume, is what you become. And, that's what, and eventually, if you repeat it consciously, you then become whatever you consume, whatever you do every single day, whatever you believe, you become. So your standard every single day becomes who you are. So let's really do an introspective into ourselves and ask ourselves, what are my standards? What are those areas in my life that I'm lowering my standard? It could be in your faith, professionally, in your relationship. Like, are you, you know, letting other people, walk over you because you're afraid to confront them? Are you a people pleaser? So, like our standard has to be higher because we put other people on a high pedestal, right? So we should do the same thing with us. That's just what I believe. So, and it's not about the big promises that build self-respect, right? It's the small ones. Again, it's those, small promises you make every day, the thing that you tell yourself that you will do. Keep them. One example, some example can be waking up when you say you would waking up when you say you would, finishing what you started, following through when no one would know if you didn't. Those moments don't look impressive, but they are powerful. And internal credibility is real confidence. I want to repeat that again. Internal credibility is real confidence. When you say the things, I know for myself, I know, and I'm speaking for me, every time I do something that I told myself I would do, a you don't feel it, but it builds momentum. If in a day you cross off your checklist or told yourself you will call this person, you will email that person, eventually you become more self confident. You become to trust yourself. And you build that credibility to yourself. I don't need someone to validate me. I validate myself because I know I can do the work because I I trusted myself many times to do stuff and I got them done. So I know I'm capable of doing more because I trust myself. It's just about, those small things every day that help us build our confidence. And if you're someone of faith like myself, I'm Christian, I believe in Jesus Christ. From a faith perspective, self-respect is not pride, it's stewardship. If you believe you were created with a purpose, then discipline is honoring that purpose. Conviction is not condemnation, it's direction. So when we live with standards, it's not about earning our worth, it's it's just about living in alignment with it. When you have your standard, you have your North Star and you living by that. You've got a certain swag to live by. You can't just live like you can't just be out here in the street just like that. Like you gotta live by a certain standard. And that's how we should live our life every single day. Like Michelle Obama says, I don't know why I'm saying this, but when people go low, we go high. And that's because that's your standard. If you got a certain standard, even if someone hurts you, you're not gonna lower to their standard. Like you gotta I mean, you know what I mean? That was good. That was good. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Living with standards is not about earning worth, but it's about living in alignment with it. And here are some practical way to do that. Number one, stop over promising to yourself. Let's stop with making these big promises to ourselves because then when we can't do those things, then we feel bad we feel we have this post poster syndrome. We just feel like a liar. Then you self confidence get low. So let's start with let's stop over promising ourselves, and let's make smaller commitments and keep them. If you can just make one small commitment day, like I'm gonna send an email to this prospect. I'm gonna call one person. I'm gonna do 10 minutes workouts. I'm going to, I don't know, whatever. It's gonna be small. Two, let's raise our standards slowly, not emotionally. Consistency beats intensity every single time. I read this, someone said this recently on Facebook. It is really true. We think that consistency is just loud, like this big thing. Like consistency is, you know, I saw this post where it says consistency looks like this. Monday you give 80, 90%. Tuesday you give 60%. Wednesday you give 10%. Thursday you give, 2%. Friday you give 70, 50%. But then you still show up even in the days where you didn't feel like it. You still give a little bit of yourself, and that's the respect part. You respect your word enough. You say you would do it and you still do it. Um, if you don't do it, don't feel bad about yourself. Get up the next day, try again. Just stay in the race for the long time, for the long term. So race tender slowly, not emotionally. Number three, do one hard thing daily. Self-respect grows through resistance. So one hard thing that I've been trying to do lately, in this cold winter here in St. Louis, Missouri, is taking a cold shower in the morning. And man, it's been something. It's been an experiment. I've been doing this for the past, I'll say, 2 weeks, and you know, it's really a mind game. It's really me testing myself. Again, this goes back to this respect, like, respecting myself. I say I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do it. And it's really, 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 really just, you tell yourself like your body don't want to do it, but your mind want to do it. Like it's a fight between what my mind is asking of me and what my body don't want to do it. Like I don't want to be cold, man. It's freezing out here. Like it's like 5 degrees outside. Like I don't want to take a cold shower, but it's been one of the most rewarding thing, I would say, so far for the year. Like every time I do it, there's this feeling, this self confidence, this boost. And there's a lot of research to what taking cold shower does. It boosts your mood, it makes you sharper, all these things. Like it's true. Like it's really been something that I feel if every time I take a cold shower in the morning. But I think more than that, there's a psychological thing about it. Like it's telling yourself like, man, I did something hard. Like I did this thing in this freezing weather outside. Like I got in the cold water. Like, so it's just something that one hard thing that I've been trying to do. Not every day, but at least a couple times a week, I would say. And when I do that, I'm focused, I'm sharp. Man, like I just boom, boom, boom. Number four, close the gap between intention and action. That gap is where confidence dies or grow. So, this is just, you know, stop talking and get to the work. Simple as that. You know, this year should be the year of action. We're getting old. It's time to stop talking and just do whatever you say you gotta do. Simple as that. So I'm gonna close. I'm gonna get into the end, but here's my call to action to everyone listening. And please share this to your friends, coworker, cousin, sisters, mom, dad, whoever. Here's a question I want us to sit with, because again, I'm talking to myself as well here. If nothing changed except how seriously I took my own word, how different would my life look in a year? Yeah, I'm gonna repeat that. If nothing changed except how seriously I took my own word, how different would my life look in a year? Because self respect isn't about impressing others, it's about being able to look at yourself and say, I trust me. And that trust is built one decision at a time. Again, this is not about other people. It's about respecting ourselves, building credibility with ourselves. Because the more we trust ourselves, the more we respect our words, even in the smallest thing, eventually it builds momentum, it builds trust, credibility, and then that's how you build confidence to go do those big things that you're planning on doing. So as we head to the year of 2026, don't I know we already passed January, but you know, let's really try to do our best, really work on respecting ourselves more and taking our word seriously. Just like when you promise someone something, you take, you do everything in your power to make it happen. We should do the same thing with ourselves. When we say something to ourselves, we should do everything in our power to accomplish it. Not because of ego, but because we hold ourselves to a high standard. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of 20s Unlocked, the first one of 2026. I'm going to try to be more consistent this year with the podcast, post at least once a month. I'm saying this on the air, so I'm going to hold my word, sorry, but like at least once a month because I do want to be more consistent, God willing. So if this episode resonated, please share it with someone who needs a reminder that standard creates strength. I'll talk to you all next time.